Hi, we at Video Professor understand how hard it can be to learn to operate a computer. In the next few minutes, you will see just how easy we make it. You know, nothing will teach you as fast as our videos. So in no time, you will be on your way to achieving your goal, knowing how to operate your computer. By having this video, you can refer to it and learn from it at any time. Now listen to what some people just like you found by using our videos. You know, they really work. So enjoy this easy computer learning, and thanks.
If you're ever trying to learn a computer system through a manual or on your own, have you ever sat there and said, God, I wish somebody who just knew how to do this would just sit down and show me. I hate trying to learn it on my own. And that's exactly what these tapes do. They sit there, they're a tutor right next to you, and they show you just how to do it.
I was kind of amazed. I started out with the first one, and gosh, didn't have it on but maybe 15 minutes, and I knew more, it seemed like, in that short a time than I did reading 50 pages in a book.
People have libraries of books. Today, people have libraries of tapes, and Video Professor would be an integral part of a personal or a professional tape library.
As a teacher, I really appreciate the step-by-step organization of the tapes. They allow each person to work at their own pace, in their own time, and to review as necessary.
You can go back and review whatever you want, and you don't have to have a teacher there saying, don't you remember, I told you.
Welcome to the Video Professor's series of computer learning tapes, the nation's #1 computer trainer. We'll take you step by step through learning to use your computer software. On the screen now are some other tapes available in our series. When using these tapes, we suggest you watch them in their entirety, then go back with your computer and practice each step. In keeping with the Video Professor's dedication to giving you the best lesson possible, we have packed these tapes with information and sometimes move at a pace that is faster than you will be able to follow along with as you are working with your computer. Remember, you can always pause or rewind the tape to learn each part. Now let's get started. Welcome to my introductory lesson on Microsoft Works for Windows version 3.0. Microsoft Works is an integrated set of application tools that can help you manage many facets of your professional and personal life. The Works 3.0 word processor allows you to create letters that, in addition to text, can contain graphics, numbers, tables, drawings, and many types of special effects, all created within Microsoft Works. For financial, mathematic, and scientific calculations, you will want to use the Works spreadsheet. It can be customized to meet your personal or business needs. It is simple to use, so even the smallest home financial chore is a snap. Yet it is powerful enough to handle commercial accounts. The Works spreadsheet also provides you with many different types of charting options that graphically present the information contained in your spreadsheet. Works 3.0 also helps you keep track of information, such as your client database, by using the Microsoft Works database. Sort or select information that will be professionally presented in a Works report. You can further customize your word processing and database documents by using Microsoft Draw. Create a logo or a page design that will add impact to your Microsoft Works document or presentation. In short, Microsoft Works will allow you to quickly generate professional letters and letterhead, mailing labels from client databases, and calculate budget information, plus many other features, all without moving outside of Works. You get these and other features as well as the advantages of working within Windows, all without a lot of complicated file exchange procedures or stopping and starting programs. Because Works runs within Windows, it is important that you understand that environment. You should know the difference between an application window and a document window and how to manipulate both. You should also know how to use your keyboard and mouse to select options within pull-down menus and dialog boxes. If you don't have a grasp on these skills, I strongly suggest you see my tapes Learning Windows and Getting Started with Your Personal Computer before starting this lesson. Before going any further, I'd like to introduce Suzanne, my student helper for this lesson. Simply follow along with her and you'll be using this program in no time. Later in this lesson, we'll save our work to disk. Suzanne will save her work to a floppy disk to avoid cluttering up her hard drive. I suggest that you have an empty formatted diskette on hand to save your Video Professor results. In this lesson, we will learn such basic Microsoft Works skills as entering, editing, and formatting text. We'll also learn how to insert and manipulate a clip art image. Along with those skills, we'll use a Works feature called Word Art to create a company logo. In addition, we'll build a Works database. Once that database is built, we'll merge its records with a form letter to create a mail merge. Okay, everyone, at this point I'm going to assume you have your computer up and running with the Windows Program Manager open and active on screen. If you haven't done this, stop the tape and do so at this time. Within the Program Manager, open the group window that contains the Works application icon. Once the group window is open on screen, double-click on the Works 3.0 application icon. It should look like the one you see on Suzanne's screen. As MS Works starts, a dialog box called New and Recent Documents opens. This box offers several options to begin working with Microsoft Works. It also lists the most recently used Works documents. Double-clicking on any file name within this window will automatically open an existing document. The icons in the Create a New area allow us to create a new word processor, spreadsheet, database, or communications file. Suzanne, for the first part of this lesson, we want to create a new word processing document. So click on the Create New Word Processor icon. Works has opened the word processor application screen complete with a blank document window. The screen you see before you is the out-of-the-box Works screen display. None of the default settings have been changed. Don't worry if your screen display differs from Suzanne's. We're going to explore the Works screen together. And as we do this, I'll give commands that will ensure everyone will have the same tools and basically the same look on screen at the end of this section. At the very top of the screen is the title bar. On the left side of the title bar is the standard Windows control menu. Within it, you can close or resize this application window, plus switch to other applications. The center of the title bar displays the application name, plus the document file name. Right now, it just reads Microsoft Works. The document file name will appear here when the document window is maximized. And on the far right, we have the standard Microsoft sizing buttons. These are mouse equivalents to the resizing commands within the control menu. Viewers, click on the Maximize button if your application window doesn't cover the entire screen. The smaller window that you see within the application window is the document window. This window is just like a blank sheet of paper. In it, we can enter and edit text and other objects to create a document. Viewers, if your document window is not already maximized, follow along with Suzanne and click on the Document Maximize button. Now your application title bar will say Microsoft Works Word 1. In Works, as in all Windows applications, each application is a parent window, whereas the document window is considered a child. Each parent can have several child documents open at the same time, which is very handy for copying information between documents. Just below the title bar is the menu bar. The pull-down menus that appear on this bar allow us to select almost any option within this program. Pull down the View menu. Notice the options that have a check mark next to them. Suzanne has check marks next to the Toolbar, Normal, Wrap for Window, and Ruler options. These are default settings. The check mark that appears next to them indicates those options are currently active. Just underneath the menu bar is the Toolbar. Let's see what control the View menu has over this option. Suzanne, click on the Toolbar command within the View menu. That tool no longer appears on screen. Now pull down the View menu again. Notice that the check mark has been removed. This tells us the tool is inactive. Click on the Toolbar command again to reactivate that option. Viewers, open the View menu again. Now double check that the Toolbar, Ruler, Normal, and Wraparound window options are activated. And deactivate any other option. Viewers, remember, you must reopen the View menu to turn an option on or off. Suzanne, your settings are okay, so press your Escape key twice to close this menu. Underneath the menu bar is the standard toolbar. This toolbar has icons or buttons that, when clicked on, give us quick access to the most commonly used commands and tools within Works. As we switch tasks, such as creating database records, the tool buttons will change accordingly. Before we move on, let's be sure everyone has the same tools showing on their toolbar. Pull down the Tools menu and select the Customize Toolbar option. This dialog box allows us to select different tool icons to place on or remove from the toolbar. Let's see how this works. Suzanne, click on the View option in the Category Selection window. Notice that a new selection of icons appears in the Buttons area. Now click on the toolbar button that looks like a small ruler. Hold down the left mouse button and drag this icon to the far right side of the toolbar and release the mouse button. Now the ruler icon is positioned on the toolbar for immediate use. Click on OK so we can see if it works. Just underneath the toolbar is the ruler. We'll get to its purpose in just a moment. For now, let's toggle it on and off with the new ruler icon. Click on it, Suzanne. See, the ruler disappeared. Click on it again and the ruler reappears. We can also remove toolbar buttons if the toolbar is too crowded or if you no longer need that feature. Suzanne, pull down the Tools menu and the Customize Toolbar option again. Once that dialog box is open, click on the Insert Table button. It is just to the left of the icon with the ABC and check mark on it. Drag the Insert Table button into the dialog box and release the button. Viewers notice the toolbar no longer displays that icon. If we were to click on OK now, that icon would be permanently removed. Right now, we want everyone to have the same command button on the toolbar, so click on the Reset button at the lower right corner. This will return the toolbar to the default settings. Also check to see that there is an X in the Enable Tooltips box at the very bottom right of this dialog box. An option is active if it has an X in the box next to that option name. Click on the OK button to close the dialog box. If you take a look at the right side of the toolbar, you'll notice that the ruler icon has disappeared while the Insert Table icon reappears on the toolbar. Below the toolbar is the ruler. As you saw a moment ago, this option, like the toolbar, can be turned off or on. The ruler shows us the width of a document according to the position of the insertion point within the document. It also allows us to set margins, indents, and tabs. The settings we see on this tool are defaults. However, we can change these. Right now it shows measurement in inches, but we could just as well have it displayed picas or centimeters. Pull down the Tools menu, Suzanne, and click on the Options command. In the upper left corner of this dialog box, we can select what units of measurement the ruler displays. All you have to do is click on the radio button next to an option or on the option itself to activate it. We want the units of measurement to be in inches for this lesson, so make sure that option is selected. This dialog box also allows us to set other options. Viewers, I want you to have the same options active as Suzanne, so please activate the options as you see them on the screen and deactivate any others. Under Speller, make sure American English is selected. This is our spell checking utility. Underneath the Speller, Show Status Bar, 3D Dialog, Drag and Drop, and Helpful Mouse Pointer options should be selected. And in the word processor area, make sure the Typing Replaces Selection and Automatic Word Selection options have X's in their toggle boxes. Finally, check that the spreadsheet and database default number of decimals displays the number 2. This will display decimal numbers to the 100th. Viewers, check closely to be sure that your options match Suzanne's, then click on OK to close this dialog box. The two remaining window areas are scroll bars and the status bar. The standard window scroll bars at the right and bottom of the window allow us to view other areas of a document that aren't currently in view. At the very bottom of the application window is the status bar. The far left of this bar will display a brief description of a selected pull-down menu option plus other helpful tips. It also tells us if the num, caps, or scroll lock keys are activated. And on the far right side, we are shown what page is in our screen view. Right now, we're on page 1 of 1, since we haven't done any typing yet. We'll see how helpful the status bar can be as we work through this lesson together. In this next section, we are going to create a direct mail business letter that will be used to contact potential clients. Before we start typing and copy, let's set the basic parameters of our page. We could do this now or later. Doing it later may have adverse effects on other formatting that we may apply to the document's text. By doing it now, we can ensure those formats won't be affected by page formatting.
Professor, I've heard the words format and formatting before. How did they apply to word processing?
Format is one of those words that appears in many areas of the computer world. You can format a diskette, choose between operating formats such as Macintosh or IBM. You can even save a file in a different format. However, when you use the word format in the context of word processing, format or formatting is the name given to all the choices we can make to control the appearance of text on the printed page. Suzanne, let's make sure everyone has the same page dimensions and options. Pull down the File menu, then click on the Page Setup command. This command opens a dialog box where we can define or change the placement of text on the page and how it will feed to the printer. We want the Margins tab selected. If it isn't, click on that tab now. Margin commands determine how far text will be printed from each edge of the paper. You can change the right, left, top, and bottom margins by typing in the dimensions that you would like your document to have. You may also change the size of header and footer sections of your document. These options are used to reserve space for information that is repeated on each page, such as page numbers or titles. The sample document to the right of these controls gives us a visual representation of the current page dimensions. Let's see how this works, Suzanne. Type a 2 into the top margins entry box. Press the Tab key to enter the new margin setting. Now look at the sample document. It automatically reformats to show us how the new setting affects the document's layout. Although this isn't precise, it does give us a nice overall view of the document's typing area. Suzanne, type a 2 in the bottom margin entry box. Once again, the sample reformats to show the proposed change. This makes it easy to experiment with changes. We want the default settings, so click on the Reset button. This tells Works to return all of the margin values back to default settings. This will also guarantee the other settings are back to their defaults. Now click on the tab for Source Size Orientation. In this tab, you can change the source of your paper feed, paper size, and paper orientation for printing. Viewers, your options may differ from Suzanne's, depending on the characteristics of your printer. Our settings show standard letter size paper of 8.5 by 11 inches in the portrait orientation. Once again, the sample gives us a visual representation of these settings. Suzanne, click on the Landscape button. The sample reformats to reflect the change in orientation. Also notice the height and width settings changed. Click on the Portrait Radio button again to return our document to the normal orientation. Now click on the tab for Other Options. This gives us control over footnotes and page numbers. We'll leave the default settings as they are, so click on the OK button to close the Page Setup dialog box. If you had made any changes in this dialog box, those changes are now in effect. Now that the page dimensions are set, let's look at the options that control font and font size. Viewers, look at the left side of the toolbar. There are two drop-down lists. One displays the current font, the other the current font size. Right now they display Times New Roman and 12 point. These are the default font and font size. Suzanne, pull down the font drop-down list. Now use the mini scroll bar to find the Arial font. You may have several Arial type faces listed. Pick the one that has two T's in front of it and nothing following the font name. Next, pull down the drop-down menu arrow for the font size. And select 14 as the font size. As you can see, Works provides you with different font styles and sizes. Any changes made here can be effective for a single text character or can extend to the entire document. With that done, let's check our text alignment. The toolbar buttons for alignment are just down and left of the Help menu. These buttons control how our text lines up with the left and right margins. When we align text, it is called justification. We can use these buttons to left, center, or right justify text. Suzanne, make sure the left alignment icon is pressed in and highlighted. Finally, make sure that the icons for bold, italics, and underline are not active. If any of these buttons are pressed in, click on it to deactivate it. One more thing before we start typing our copy. Pull down the View menu and click on the Zoom option. This command allows us to adjust the amount of magnification for viewing our document. Make sure the 100% zoom option is active, then click on OK. With that accomplished, we have reached the end of our screen tour. Everyone should have the same settings, so let's create the marketing letter. Suzanne, as we are creating our marketing letter, will learn some basic word processing skills. We will first type and edit the body of the letter. Then we will add a bulleted list of benefits describing our service. We will also add graphics using word art and clip art. The insertion point for adding text is automatically at the top left of the document view. This is the point at which text will appear as you type. Suzanne, let's start our letter by typing Dear Client followed by a comma.
Professor, I think client sounds a little too formal. Can we change it?
Sure, let's change the greeting to Dear Neighbor. As we do, we'll review a few editing tools. Everyone press your backspace key 3 times. Notice that as you do, the letters disappear. This is an easy way to correct mistakes that you've just made. However, if you've already typed in the entire document, the next method will be more helpful. Suzanne used the mouse pointer to move the insertion point in front of the C in client, then click and drag to the right. Once those letters are highlighted, press your delete key. You can use this method to delete part of the word, or the entire word, a sentence, paragraph, or the entire document. Now type the word neighbor exactly where the word client used to be. Now type a comma. Now that our greeting is in place, press enter twice to move the insertion point down 2 lines. Notice as you do that, the small horizontal line just below the insertion point moves down each time you press the enter key. This line is called the end of file line. It represents the bottom of your text area. We can't enter anything below this line, but it will continue to move down as we type or press enter. Viewers note this is not the bottom margin. Now type the following 2 sentences. Have you been thinking about resurfacing your driveway this year? If you have, Pavement Pros, the driveway specialist, has great news for you. Notice that as you type, Works automatically wraps our text to the next line. You don't have to press the return key to make the text flow to the next line. Suzanne, let's replace the word year with summer. We want the majority of our business to transpire while there is good weather. Place the I bar on the word year and double-click the left mouse button. This is another way to block or highlight text. Now type in summer. This will replace the highlighted text. While we are editing, let's get rid of the driveway specialist line. Use your mouse pointer to move the insertion point to just before the period at the end of Pavement Pros. Now click and drag to highlight from the insertion point to just before the word has. Now type a period and press your spacebar key to give us a space. Suzanne, press your end key to move the insertion point to the end of this sentence, then press the spacebar a couple of times to give us some room. When you finish, type the following sentence. Now, through the month of June, we are offering 35% off the cost of our double guard resurfacing service, the best in the industry. Please type the sentence just as it appears on screen, including mistakes. When you finish, press the enter key twice, then type in, our resurfaced double guard coat has the following benefits. End the sentence with a colon. We'll come back in a moment to add the list of benefits, but first we'll finish the body of the letter. Press enter twice to move to a new paragraph. Then enter the following sentence. Call 555-9877 today to make an appointment and reserve your special discount pricing on this incredible resurfacing service. If you need extra time to enter this, pause or rewind the tape. Press your enter key twice and type sincerely followed by a comma. Press the enter key twice more and type the name Billy Blacktop. Press enter once again and type Sales Manager with a capital S and a capital M. Suzanne spelled manager incorrectly by typing M-A-N-E-G-E-R. We will use this misspelling to test the work spell checker. It will automatically fix this problem in a moment. I know that was a lot of typing, but that is the majority of the text for this letter. Now let's save this file to disk. Suzanne, click on the Save icon. It has a picture of a floppy disk on it. We haven't named this file yet, so we are given the Save As dialog box. The Save As dialog box is designed to help us save our file. In the lower middle of the dialog box is the Drives area. It allows you to select from the different drives on your system. Right now, it's showing the drive destination of the last file opened. Above the drives area is the directories area. In it, you select which directory to save your file in. The current path is displayed at the top. The MS Works directory is currently open. See how the file folders are opened up, showing the tree structure? Earlier, we decided to save to a floppy disk, so insert that new disk into Drive A. Once done, select that drive letter in the Drives box. If you are saving to a directory on your hard drive, select that now. Suzanne has no subdirectories on her brand new floppy disk, so the directories box is empty and the path shows // to indicate the root directory on that disk. Viewers, if you have subdirectories on your floppy disk, select one of them to save this file into. Now we're ready to name this file. Suzanne, click and drag across the generic file name in the file name box. Then type Blacktop. Remember, you can only use 8 characters for a file name. When you finish, check the Save File as Type box in the lower left corner. It should read Works WP. If it doesn't, open up this Options drop-down list and select the correct file type. This option allows you to save a document in a file format that can be read by another application, such as WordPerfect. With that said, everyone press Enter or click on OK. When the Save As process is finished, the new file name will appear on the title bar. Since this file has been named and saved, all we have to do in the future is click on the Save icon to save our changes to disk. At this point, our document is a little boring, so let's use a few formatting tools to spice up things. First, press your Control and Home keys together to move the insertion point and our view to the top of the screen. Now block the body of our text. That's the 3 paragraphs that come after Dear Neighbor. We're going to indent this text using the ruler. Look at the far left side of the ruler. The 0 represents our left margin setting of 1 inch. See those 2 little triangles? Together they indicate a paragraph's left margin setting. Click and drag the bottom triangle to the 1/4 inch mark on the ruler. Clicking on the bottom triangle selects both. When you release the mouse button, our blocked paragraphs realign themselves on the 1/4 inch mark. We've just created a temporary margin setting. It won't affect any text entered after these 3 blocked paragraphs. Now let's indent the first sentence in each of these paragraphs. To do that, we must click and drag the top triangle, which by itself is the indent marker. Suzanne, drag it to the 1/2 inch mark and release. There, the first lines in each of our selected paragraphs have been indented, even the second paragraph, which has only 1 line. Remember, a margin, even if it is temporary, determines where text can begin from the edge of the page, while an indent specifies additional distance usually measured in from the margin. While the text is still selected, let's also change the line spacing to 1.5 lines. Pull down the Format menu and select the Paragraph command. The first 2 option tabs give us additional means of applying the paragraph formatting options found and manipulated with the toolbar and ruler. The third, which you should select now, gives us control over line breaks and spacing. Within the between line entry box, type 1.5. This will give us 1.5 line spacing. Click OK to close the dialog box. Once again, the formatting we just applied affects only the blocked text. The rest of the document is still at the default line spacing of 1. Now that we've done some paragraph formatting, let's apply a few character formats to our text. Let's make the company name stand out from the rest of the body text. Suzanne blocked the Pavement Pros title that appears in the first paragraph. Good. Now move the pointer up to the toolbar and click on the bold and italics buttons. Now do the same thing for 35% in the next sentence. Block that text, then click on the bold and italics buttons. And when you finish formatting that, block the phone number in the last paragraph, then click on the bold, italics, and underline buttons. Works has many character formats to choose from. The most frequently used commands are located on the toolbar. The rest are under the Format menu's Font and Style command dialog box. Normally, character formats affect only a single word or a group of words, whereas paragraph formats such as margins, indents, and line spacing affect an entire paragraph. However, both can be applied to larger pieces of text even the entire document if you block that text, then apply the format. Okay, Suzanne, let's finish the body of our marketing letter by adding a list of benefits. First, move the insertion marker to the end of the second paragraph. Then press Enter to give us some open space before our benefits list. Now click on the Bullets button. It's located just right of the Right Alignment button. Notice that a bullet appears waiting for us to enter some text. We want the benefits to really stand out, so let's type them in all caps. Press your caps lock key to turn this option on. As you are pressing that key, look at the right side of the status bar. The caps abbreviation that appears tells us that the caps lock is turned on. Back at the insertion point, type 1 day service. Press Enter and type in 2-year warranty. Notice that a bullet is automatically inserted for us each time we press the Enter key next to each item. Press Enter again and type non-toxic. Press the Enter key one more time, then type in highest grade materials.
Professor, the bullet list looks funny off to the left like that.
You're right, Suzanne. We should center the bullet list. And we should also give ourselves a little more white space before the bullet list. Let's do both. First, place the insertion point just after the word benefits, then press the Enter key. Suzanne blocked the bullet list by clicking and dragging the mouse between the bullets and their benefits. Now look at the indent marker on the ruler. The lower triangle is indented for the bullet list. This is called a hanging indent. Click on that triangle, Suzanne, and drag it to the right until the bottom marker is at 2 inches. There, that centers the list. While we're formatting the list, click on the B button to boldface the list. When you finish, click on the Save button to save these changes to disk. Now that we've entered and formatted the body of our marketing letter, let's add a little life to it. We'll start by inserting a graphic image depicting a house with an oh-so-smooth driveway. The graphic images and works are called clip art. These images are ready-made art provided by Works or another source. Suzanne moved the insertion point to the left of the D in Deer. Now pull down the Insert menu and select Clip Art. Before the Clip Art gallery opens, Works might ask you if you wish to add clip art from other applications. For now, select only the clip art in Microsoft Works. Works will open a dialog box called the Clip Art Gallery. The gallery allows you to sort, file, rename, delete, or add clip art. At the top of the gallery is a category scroll window. Each category contains a set of related clip art images. Suzanne used the scroll bar to find the cartoon category, then click on that title. This will cause a new set of clip art images to appear in the clip art sample window. To select one of these images, all you need to do is click on it. The clip art image we want is in the buildings category, so click on that title. Now scroll through this gallery until you see a contemporary ranch-style home complete with a driveway on the right. At the bottom of the gallery window, we are given a clip art name for the selected image. Residential house is the name of this image. Viewers, if you can't find the residential house clip art image, feel free to select any clip art image that you see in the gallery. Any image will do for this exercise. When the image is selected, click OK. Works adds the clip art to your document in just a few seconds. Before we do anything else to this document, let's use Print Preview to see if we like the layout. Click on the Print Preview icon. It has a magnifying lens over a sheet of paper. Notice that the view changes to a full-page view of our document. This is what the letter will look like when it is printed. Although it allows us to zoom in and out to preview different areas of the document, we can't edit the document in this view. Suzanne, I think the house image is a bit too large. Let's go back to the normal view to resize the clip art image. Click on the Cancel button to put us back in the normal view. Now let's adjust the size of the clip art, Suzanne. Click once on the house image, then pull down the Format menu and select the Picture Object command. This dialog box displays our clip art's dimensions and allows us to change them. The house image was originally a little over 6 inches wide and close to 3 inches high. The dialog box offers 2 ways to change dimensions. You can enter exact height and width measurements in the size area, or enter a percentage of the original measurements in the scaling boxes. Let's scale the graphic down. Suzanne, highlight the number in the width scaling box. Type 50 as the new percentage, then press your Tab key. The 3.07 appearing in the size width box represents 50% of the original image size. Makes sense, doesn't it? With the height box highlighted, enter 35. We want the image to take up less vertical space in the document. The new height is just over 1 inch. Viewers, if you selected a different clip art image, enter 3.07 and 1.02 inches in the width and height size boxes. Click on the OK button to resize our house. Looks good. It's still big enough to have some visual impact, yet small enough not to overwhelm the text. Suzanne positioned the insertion point before the greeting again and pressed the Enter key twice to give us some extra room. With that done, place the insertion marker to the left of the clip art image. The insertion marker should be the same height as the image. If it isn't blinking on and off, you've selected the clip art. If this happens, click a little more to the left of the image. Now let's create a company logo using another Works graphic feature called Word Art. Before we do, let's save our work again. Click on the Save icon. Now pull down the Insert menu and click on the Word Art command. It's located beneath the Clip Art command. In the Word Art text box that appears on screen, type Pavement Pros. Press your Enter key, then type Driveway Specialists. Good. Now pull down the font drop-down list. When we are dealing with Word Art, this drop-down list becomes the Style list. This list features various shapes or styles to apply to the text within the text box. Everyone click on the Inflate Bottom style. It's near the bottom of the drop-down list and looks flat on the top with a half circle on the bottom. Single click on that image. The font box should list Inflate Bottom within its window. The logo doesn't look so hot right now, so let's expand the text to fill the entire text frame box. Suzanne, click on the Stretch button. It has a capital A with 4 very small arrows pointing away from the A. That's it. Now single click the mouse anywhere outside of the Word Art text box. Your Word Art is finished.
Professor, the logo looks neat, but a little too small. Can we resize it to match the house graphic?
We could make it the same size, but both images wouldn't fit on the same line. We'll make it the same height, but make it a little narrower than the house. Click on the Pavement Pros logo to highlight it, then pull down the Format menu and select the Picture Object commands. In the width size box, type in 2.75 in the width box, then press your Tab key and enter 1.02 in the height box. This is the exact same height as the house graphic. Now click on OK. That looks better, doesn't it? After the lesson, feel free to come back and experiment with resizing these images. You can also resize and move these images with your mouse. Now let's use the Headers and Footers feature to add the company address. Footers and headers are used to insert information such as page numbers or addresses that will appear on every page of your document. Suzanne, pull down the View menu and select Headers and Footers. In the footer text editing box, type 5 Gravel Road, Bedrock, Colorado, 80900. And click OK.
Professor, I scrolled down to the bottom of the letter, and I can't see my footer.
Currently, we are in the normal view. This screen view does not show headers or footers. To see them, we must switch to a different screen view. Suzanne, pull down the View menu and select the Page Layout command. The Page Layout view shows all the elements of our document as it will be printed. This view is similar to the Print Preview option. However, within this view, we have the added convenience of being able to edit and insert text and graphics. Suzanne, use the right scroll bar to bring the bottom of your document on screen. See, we do have a footer after all. And to edit this footer, all we need to do is double-click on its text to open up the Footer dialog box. Let's see how this affects the overall layout of our document. Click on the Print Preview button to switch to that view. There's our footer. It does a nice job of balancing the page. Plus, it gives the reader our business address. It looks pretty good, Suzanne, so click on the Cancel button. We know the footer is okay, so let's go back to the normal view. Pull down the View menu and click on Normal. This view takes up less memory than the page layout view and is the best view for entering, editing, formatting, and moving text within a document. Suzanne, before we move on, let's check our document spelling. First, move the insertion marker to just before the D in Dear Neighbor. Now click on the Spell Checker button. It has the letters ABC and a check mark on it. The word through is the first word the spell checker believes is misspelled. Although our spelling of through, THRU, is commonly used in advertising, it is generally considered unacceptable, so it does not appear in the Works dictionary. We could click on the Add button now to add this word to the dictionary, or simply click on the Ignore button to tell Spell Checker to ignore the word and continue its search. We want to replace the word with the more acceptable spelling, so click on the Change button. Once Spell Checker replaces that word, it moves on to the next misspelling, which is the word guard. Click on the Change button to replace that misspelling with the proper spelling of guard, G-U-A-R-D. The next word selected by Spell Checker is the deliberate misspelling of manager. With this misspelling, we are given more than one suggested option for replacing the misspelled word. Viewers, if you do not have any choices in the suggestions area, click the Suggest button. If possible, this spell checking option will display words close in spelling to the selected word. This comes in handy if the word is terribly misspelled. Clicking on any of the words in the Suggestions window will place that word in the Change To box. Click on the correct spelling of manager, M-A-N-A-G-E-R, then click on the Change button. We've come to the end of the document, so Spell Checker asks if we would like to continue spell checking from the beginning of the document. Our insertion marker was at the beginning of the text, not at the very top of the document, so click on OK. We want Works to spell check our company logo too. When it's done, another dialog box appears telling us the spell check is finished. Click OK to close this box, then click on the Save button again to save our new changes to disk. We've completed our marketing letter. Now that the generic marketing letter is complete, we can send it out to our prospective customers. We could, but it wouldn't look too neighborly if we didn't include their names. Let's remedy this by personalizing each letter, Suzanne. And to help us do that, we'll create a database that holds the names and addresses of our prospective customers. Once the necessary information is entered into the database, we will merge this information into the letter we just created. To begin building the database, Suzanne, please click on the Startup button. It's the button with several layered documents on it. Here is the new and recent document dialog box that we saw when we first opened the program. Notice that your Video Professor word processing document is now listed in the recently used file window. Suzanne, click on the database button. With a few exceptions, the database screen looks very similar to the word processing screen. The database toolbar has many of the same command buttons, plus a few new icons that are limited to database operations. Underneath the toolbar is the Text Edit and Formula insertion bar. It is used to enter and edit text and formulas with the database form. The status bar across the bottom of the screen still provides useful tips about the command options and your location in the database. If you look at the right side of the toolbar, Suzanne, you'll see that a button called Form View is pressed in. That's the data view we're currently looking at, a blank screen where we can construct a form to capture the names and addresses of our prospects. The form view is useful for printing database information on pre-formatted documents or as reports that will be generated for specific users. Just right of the form view button is a button for another database view. This is called List View. Click on that button, Suzanne. Now we see a grid on the screen. We're still in the database, but it's a little easier to see the database structure in this view. Each column will contain a field of data. This is particular items of information about each prospect, such as their name, address, or phone number. You can enter text, numbers, dates, or formulas in a field. Each row will be a data record. That is, all the information collected for each prospective client. When we have a single row of information, we have a record. Before we actually create the database table, let's take a moment to think about the pieces of information or fields that should be in our marketing database. Well, we definitely want to address them appropriately, so we should include appropriate salutations, along with their first and last names and their full address. And if we are going to do any follow-up to the letter, we'll definitely need their phone numbers. Each of these pieces of information can be a category, or in database terminology, a field when we create a database table. Once these fields are set up, we can sort data or select specific records within the fields. Here's how to do it in Works. The most important part of a database is the fields row, and that is the first step in our database structure. First, make sure either the first cell in column A is selected or the column header is selected. Then pull down the Edit menu, Suzanne, and select Field Name at the bottom of the list. Here's a little dialog box asking for the name of our first field. We'll make one for Ms. or Mr. The cursor is already flashing, so type MS period, /MR period, and click OK. There you are, Suzanne. You've just created your first database field, and its name appears in the column header. Let's create another field. First, click on the second column header, then open the Edit menu, and select the Field Name command again. Type in first name as the field name, then click on OK. That's pretty easy, isn't it? Viewers, enter the fields you see listed here: last name, street, city, state, zip, and phone. Follow the same steps as the first two fields. Click on the column header, then pull down the Edit menu and select the Field Names command. Then type the appropriate field name and press Enter. Pause or rewind the tape until you have created all these fields. That will do for this simple database table. I'm sure you can think of many more fields to add to this table, but we'll stay with these 8 for now. Adding another field is easy. Just select or insert another column, then name it for the desired field. One very important rule to remember when creating a database table is that each field must have a unique name. And always remember to construct your database with all the fields you might possibly need, because you can't seek information from a database if that information isn't there. Before we add records to this database, let's save our work to disk. Click on the Save button. Our database is a new file, so once again we're given the Save As dialog box. We're saving this to the floppy disk, so pull down the Drives window and select the appropriate drive letter. Now double-click within the file name box and type in VP Data. When you have that entered, click on the OK button to finish the Save As process. Right now we are in the List view. In this view, we can work with many records at once in a list, similar to a spreadsheet. When we first opened the database window, we were in the Form view. The information is the same within the two screen views. They just display and allow us to access that information differently. Let's see how our fields look in the Form view. Click on the Form View button. It is just left of the List View button. In the Form view, we work with one record at a time. As you can see, Works has vertically arranged the fields we entered in the List view to accommodate this method of entering records. This layout is intended to resemble an invoice, statement, or other such form. It can be customized to meet almost any business application. We could easily turn this form into something the Pavement Pros salespeople can use to contact prospective clients. We'll start with the basic information here. Then in my Level 2 tape, I'll show you how to modify this form to meet your specific needs. For now, let's move the fields to the middle of the screen so the information is more easily read by the Pavement Pros salespeople. Click and drag from the lower right to the upper left of the fields area. Once that area is highlighted, look at the left side of the insertion bar. Currently, it tells us that the top line in this blocked area is 1 1/4 inches on the x-axis and 1 inch on the y-axis. Click within the blocked area and drag that group of fields to the middle of the screen until the x and y-axis read 3.33 and 1.67, respectively. There, that makes it easier for the salespeople to read and enter data. Now let's go back to the List view and enter some records. Pull down the View menu and select the List View command. Okay, Suzanne, now that the fields are named, we can add the information needed for each client. Make sure we're in cell A1. This is the starting point for the first field of the first record. Type a capital M, a small r, then a period. Do you see your typing in the edit line as well as in the cell? Press the Tab key to enter this information and move to the next field. Now type in Jim with a capital J in the first name field. Press Tab when you finish. In the last name field, type Smith with a capital S and Tab. In the street field, type High Street with a capital H and S. Press your Tab key again and type Denver with a capital D in the city field. Tab to the state field and type CO in all caps. Tab to the next field and type 80000 in the zip code field. Press Tab and type 3330000 in the phone field. Suzanne, you've just entered your first Works database record. It's easy to do. Just enter the appropriate information in the correct field. You can also see how important it is to have the right organization. You wouldn't want to enter a phone number in the zip code field or vice versa. Let's enter another record. Suzanne, select the second cell under the first field. In this cell, type MS, then Tab key to the next field and type Sarah. Tab again and type Jones. Tab once again and type Red Street. Tab again and type Denver in the city field. Tab, then type CO for state. Tab and enter 80127 for the zip. One more tab, then type 222-0000 for the phone number. Now let's see how we can use the Form view to enter records. Pull down the View menu and click on the Form command. Back in the Form view, our first record for Jim Smith is displayed. All the information we entered in the list view appears here in the appropriate fields. On the left side of the bottom scroll bar, we are shown which record is displayed. The arrow buttons allow us to move to different records. Click on the right arrow, Suzanne. Now the form displays the second record. Click on it once more. Nothing appears in the field areas because we haven't entered a third record yet. Let's do that now. The first field is already selected, so enter a capital M and a small r. When you finish, use your arrow keys to move to the next field. Now enter Bill in the first name field. Arrow down to the last name field and type in King. Arrow down to the street field and enter Big Street. Move down to the next field and enter Denver. And in the next field, enter CO, the abbreviation for Colorado. Move to the zip code field and enter 80127. And finally, move to the phone field and enter 111-0000, then press Enter. We've just entered our third record. Let's see if it was entered into the list view. Pull down the View menu and select the List command. There is our third record. We can use either of these views to enter and edit database records. And now that we have a few records in our database, let's combine this information with our letter so we can send a personalized copy to each prospective customer. Click on the Save button to save these records to disk. Now, Suzanne, we are ready to look at mail merges. Suzanne, the merge process, just like its name implies, merges two sets of information. The process is quite simple. You create a document that has all the standardized information on it, such as our marketing letter. Then you insert placeholders into that document. Placeholders indicate every place in a document where Works will insert information from another document, in this case, our database. Each field in the database can have a corresponding placeholder within another document. When Works performs a mail merge, it automatically inserts information from a new database record into the appropriate placeholder. It does this each time the form letter is printed. Suzanne, we want to merge our database records with the marketing letter, and to do that, we will still need to insert placeholders within the marketing letter.
Professor, where's my letter? Did it close when I started working with the database?
No, Suzanne, the letter is still open. Pull down the Window menu. Notice at the bottom of the drop-down menu, next to the number 1 is the file name Blacktop, and next to the number 2 is the name VP Data. The check mark tells us which document is active. We can switch to another document by simply clicking on the file name or pressing the corresponding number in this menu. Click on the file name Blacktop. We're in the word processing screen again, and there is our marketing letter. Now let's insert the placeholders. Move the insertion point to just below the Pavement Pros logo, then press the Enter key twice to create more room between the graphics and the body of our text. Now press your up arrow once to move the insertion point up one line. Now pull down the Insert menu and select the Database Field command. Once the dialog box appears on screen, click on the Database button in its lower right corner. The list window now displays our two open files. Viewers, you might see more than one database name here if others have been created in Works. For now, click OK to get a list of all the field names within the VP Data database. Now all we need to do is select the pieces or fields of information we want placed in the marketing letter. Suzanne, we want all but the phone field in our marketing letter, so select each field title and click on the Insert button until you have all the necessary fields selected. Suzanne, notice that as each field is inserted, its corresponding placeholder appears on the document. When all the fields are selected, we will reposition the placeholders for the proper position. When you finish inserting the fields, click on the Close button. Now place the insertion point between the last name and street placeholders. Then press Enter. With that done, position the insertion point between the street and city placeholders and press Enter. Now place the insertion point between city and state, then type a comma. Before we finish, let's add another personal touch to this letter. Place the insertion point just after the word summer in the second line. Type a comma, a space, then pull down the Insert menu and select the Database Field command again. Click on the first name field title, then on the Insert button, and then on the Close button. Addressing each potential customer personally should give our marketing letter a more neighborly feel. That's all there is to it, Suzanne. Now that the placeholders are in place, we can do a mail merge so each prospective client will receive a personalized letter. Suzanne, click on the Save button again to save these new changes to disk. Before we do the actual mail merge, let's use the Print Preview command to see how our letter looks with the merged names and addresses. Please click on the Print Preview button. The Choose dialog box opens again. Make sure the VP data file is selected, then click on OK. And instantly we see the preview. In this full page view, it's hard to read the names and addresses. Click your left mouse button once to zoom into the document. It is still a little hard to see, so click the left mouse button again. Now we can see that the first letter is addressed to Jim Smith. Each placeholder now displays the corresponding information from the first record. Also notice that the first name is repeated, once in the address and again in the body of our text. As we can see, a placeholder can be repeated throughout a document as many times as necessary. Suzanne, click on the Next button. And here's a letter to Sarah Jones, the second record in our database. Click Next again, and there's the third record from our database. It works. Suzanne, at this point, you can click the Print button and send the merged letters to the printer. However, let's take a quick look at a few print options before we do that. Click on the Cancel button, Suzanne. Viewers, I'm going to assume that you have a printer already configured and connected to your system. I will, however, show you where to select a printer driver and some of the more commonly used print options. Pull down the File menu and click on the Printer Setup command. The option window in this dialog box displays all the printer drivers currently set up on the system. To select another printer driver, just click on its title. Suzanne, on the right side of this dialog box is the Setup button. Click on it. Within this dialog box, we can set the printer resolution, paper size and source, the printer memory, the page orientation, and the number of copies to be printed. Among the buttons on the right side are the Options and Fonts buttons. The Option button gives us control over dithering and print intensity. The options accessed through the Fonts button allow us to add and delete fonts. Suzanne, all your settings are set, so click on the Cancel button to close this dialog box. Now pull down the File menu again and select the Print command. At the top of the Print dialog box, we are shown which printer our documents will be printed to. This is the same printer that is selected in the Printer Setup dialog box. Underneath that display, we have control over how many copies will be printed. We'll stick with one copy for this lesson. The print range area allows us to select which pages are to be printed in a multiple page document. The All option will print the entire document. We only have 3 pages that will be printed, so we'll leave that setting as it is. We aren't printing any envelopes, so the main document option should be toggled on in the What to Print area. The print merge has been toggled on for us by Works because it sees the placeholders within the word processing file and knows we have selected a database. All we need to do now is click on OK to merge the records into the marketing letter and send the merged documents to the printer. Do that now, Suzanne. The Choose dialog box opens again. Make sure the VP data file is selected, then click on OK. Suzanne, you have learned how to use Microsoft Works to create a word processing document and a database. And you've combined them all in a mail merge. Not a bad day's work. Good job, Suzanne. Thanks for being such a great student. And remember, there's always more you can learn from me, the Video Professor.